everybody. This is City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I have a scrapbook layout process video for you, and you can see that I did some work before I started filming. I will admit I was having a little bit of trouble with my scrapbook mojo. I was kind of struggling with how to scrap and what to scrap. So one of the things that I sometimes do when I'm having trouble is I use a cut file. And I find that big title cut files are really helpful. You can see that this cut file takes up the majority of the page. Another thing that I do is I'll go through my stash looking for things that I really loved when I purchased them, but I haven't used yet or I haven't used in a long time. So that's what I did. I used a large cut file and I went to my stash and found a pad that I absolutely loved. So after looking through my stash, I found this pad. It's called the Collage Art Stack by Die Cuts with a View, and I must have bought it back in 2017 at Tuesday Morning. It was $4.99 back then, which was a great buy, but it's also very beautiful. The colors in here are very pretty and there's some beautiful patterns. So I thought that this pad would be perfect to get my scrapbooking mojo rolling again and to use with a cut file. I cut the cut file out of this like bluish color. It's almost, yeah, it's a blue color. It's a little bit of hint of lavender there, but it's basically blue. And I cut it out of the blue, and then I did an offset and cut the background again out of pink, and found some pages that I didn't think I would use in their entirety, and I cut the letters out. I just traced them. I had the inside part of the letters, and I traced these and just cut it a little bit larger than that. So I'm going to back the cut file. And I also cut these out of a piece of paper. This is from the same pad, and I plan to use those as embellishments. There were a couple of other things I thought I could cut out of the pad. And I was going to put the photos in here, and I haven't even picked out my photos yet, which is very unusual for me. I usually take my inspiration from my photos and not from my papers and my scrapbooking supplies. But for this one, I was thinking I probably could use pictures of my dogs. And I thought that even though this has like this darkness in here that the rest of the layout doesn't have, the photos will have some darkness because my dogs are black and also black and white. So I'm going to back the cut file. I'm going to glue these behind the cut file, and I'm going to pull out some pictures that I think will fit nicely into the hearts, and then I'll come back and complete the page. I backed the cut file and I put some pictures of my dog Jackson inside the hearts, and I thought I would add some texture to the background. The background is already very pretty and it has a mixed media kind of feel. So I didn't want to add too much, but I did want to add a little bit of texture. So I'm adding some hearts using a Chamel stencil and my Vicky Bouton molding paste. And I keep putting that offset part of the title back on the page just to see where I should put my texture paste. And you can see that there's cutouts in the title, so I want there to be a little bit of the texture paste showing through in some parts. So I'm just spreading it around and cleaning it up a little bit where there are half hearts. But I oftentimes just leave half hearts when that happens because it's fine. It kind of adds to a little bit of a messy look that I'm fine with. But you can scrape up anything that you don't want. Now I'm adding some splatters to the background, and I decided I better get out my splatter box because the splatters were going all over. I don't always use it if I'm just adding a few splatters, but I plan to add a lot. So here I am adding some yellow paint to the background, some yellow splatters. The paint I'm using is an acrylic paint that's watered down. I found these little bottles of paint at Tuesday Morning, and I've actually gotten a lot of use out of them. I got them thinking I might not need them, but I've actually used them quite a bit, and the colors really match a lot of the collections I have. So I added some yellow splatters, and now I'm adding some, well, I just finished adding some pink splatters, and now I'm adding some of this blue color to the background. And I just feel like splatters add just something nice. It It's not something that's super noticeable if you just add a couple of them, and if they're in coordinating colors, you don't see them so much. But I do feel that it adds something a little bit extra to the background, and I like that mixed media look. I'm also adding white splatters, which I add on the majority of my layouts. I like the way it just kind of pulls everything together, and I just find that pages look better when I add the white splatters. So since everything's already backed, all I'm doing now is I am going to be attaching the front of the cut file to the offset of the cut file, and I've already backed the cut file in foam, so it does pop up a little bit. And sorry that that wasn't on camera, but I didn't think it was totally necessary to see me backing it, but I do like to use up all my scraps and try to cover the back as well as possible. I'm putting it on a little bit of an angle just to add a little bit of interest, and I'm cutting out little pieces here so that I can back those pieces with a little pop of color. And I've seen a lot of scrapbookers doing this. I like doing it when I want to bring some color into the background, and I feel like that's a good way to do it on this particular background, just because there's not a lot of opportunity to add other elements other than the cut file. I mean, you could, but I just thought that this would be a good technique on this page. So I cut out little sections and I distressed them with my scissor, and now I'm looking for little pieces from the papers that I think would look nice with the layout. I decided I thought blue would look really nice, and I ended up replacing that piece of paper on the top. I thought it was going to be more blue when I added it, and I ended up, I think it was the next day, I decided I wanted something that was a little more striking, and so I put a blue piece of paper there, and you'll see that in the close-ups at the end. So I tucked that flower behind the E, and I did not like that. I thought it looked funny, so I decided to lower it and attach it, and so now the three flowers are attached. And now I'm just going in with some pieces that I cut out from the pad. And this says, "You make life beautiful." I really do like using these die cut with a view pads when they have the laminated sheets. I feel that when you fussy cut things out from them, they look really nice when they're laminated. They look a little bit more like an embellishment rather than just a piece of paper. I also added some of these wood button embellishments with the epoxy in the middle. I really like those. I only had two that fit the color scheme and the subjects, so I just ended up using two. And I don't have many embellishments that would match this, so I'm going back to the pad and cutting out some hearts, just fussy cutting out some hearts and adding those around the cut file. And it is sometimes challenging when you use a paper pad and you don't have embellishments, so I'm really using parts of the pad that match and that lend themselves to fussy cutting. So now I'm cutting out some different color flowers, and I'm not a huge fan of fussy cutting. I know some people really like fussy cutting. I do it out of necessity, but these were really easy to fussy cut. So I thought that the three different colors that they were added a lot to the layout and just added a nice little extra touch. So I'm just going to be adding those. You can see that's in a bit of a diagonal there across the page. And as a last step, I'm going to be adding in some enamel dots. I add enamel dots in yellow and pink and blue. And I did spend an incredibly long time moving these enamel dots around the page till I got them in just the spot that I wanted. The rest of the layout, I feel like I made my decisions really quickly, and then when I got to the enamel dots, I was just fussing around with them. And probably because of the mixed media in the background or the lamination, I'm not really sure, but I had a lot of trouble getting the dots up once I put them down. So I did fuss around with these for a long time, and I won't have you watch all of it, but you will see in the close-ups where all those enamel dots ended up. So that is my layout for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope if you like this video, you'll give me a thumbs up and you'll consider subscribing to my channel. And thank you so much to my current subscribers. I hope everybody has a fantastic day, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.